Here is a ballpark estimate for the electrical work for a second floor addition. For materials, the wire, specifically an M12/2, 14/2, and 14/3, is estimated at $1,000. Switches, assuming 22 switches at $10 each, total $220. Fixtures, estimated at 32 fixtures at $50 each, amount to $1,600. Receptacles, estimated at 34 at $5 each, cost $170. An outdoor fixture is estimated at $50. Jacuzzi wiring is estimated at $200. The two air conditioning units are estimated at $4,000. A 200 amp service panel is estimated at $500. A 100 amp sub panel is estimated at $250. The permit fee is estimated at $200. The subtotal for materials is $8,220. For labor, roughing and installation are estimated at $5,000. Trimming out is estimated at $2,000. Troubleshooting and startup are estimated at $1,000. The labor subtotal is $8,000. Additional considerations include travel time, which is 1 hour each way at $25 per hour, totaling $100 per day for an estimated 5 days, resulting in $500 for travel. Additional sales, such as a central vacuum system, are estimated at $1,000. The total estimated cost is $17,720. Note that this is merely a ballpark estimate, and the actual cost may vary based on several factors. Firstly, the complexity of the job can influence the final cost, as more intricate wiring or challenging installations will require more time and resources. Secondly, the local market conditions, including the availability of electricians and the prevailing labor rates, can also affect the overall cost. Thirdly, the specific materials and fixtures selected by the customer can significantly impact the price, with higher-end or specialized items driving up the expenses. It's also important to consider that the customer is responsible for purchasing all fixtures and bulbs, so their choices will directly affect the final cost. Low-voltage wiring is not included in this estimate. All branch circuits will be NM cable, and the sub-panel will be wired with AC riser cable. The laundry, stove, and other major appliances are gas-powered. 6 of the switches will be added to existing first floor and basement areas. The addition is approximately 1,500 square feet with no cathedral ceilings. Consider visiting the location to assess the job's complexity and provide a more accurate estimate. The estimate also assumes standard wiring practices and code compliance. Any unforeseen issues, such as asbestos abatement or structural modifications, could increase the cost. It's essential to communicate with the customer throughout the project to keep them informed of any changes or unexpected expenses. The estimate does not include any costs associated with potential delays, such as weather-related disruptions or material shortages. These factors should be discussed with the customer upfront to manage expectations. Also, the estimate assumes that the existing electrical service is adequate to handle the additional load of the second floor addition. If the service needs to be upgraded, that would be an additional expense. It is important to conduct a load calculation to determine the service requirements and ensure compliance with the electrical codes. The estimate also assumes that the work will be performed during regular business hours. Overtime or weekend work would likely increase the labor costs. Finally, the estimate does not include any profit margin or overhead expenses. These should be factored in to ensure that the project is financially viable. Let's delve deeper into the various aspects of this electrical estimation, providing a more comprehensive understanding of the components involved. Firstly, let's discuss the wire. The estimate specifies NM cable in various sizes, 12/2, 14/2, and 14/3. These designations refer to the gauge and number of conductors within the cable. 12/2 NM cable consists of two 12-gauge wires plus a ground wire, typically used for general-purpose circuits like lighting and receptacles. 14/2 NM cable consists of two 14-gauge wires plus a ground wire, commonly used for lighting circuits with low amperage requirements. 14/3 nm cable consists of three 14-gauge wires plus a ground wire, often used for three-way switch circuits. The quantity of each type of cable needed will depend on the layout of the circuits and the number of devices being served. The cost of NM cable can vary depending on the gauge, conductor material, and brand. Secondly, consider the switches and receptacles. The estimate includes 22 switches and 34 receptacles. Switches control the flow of electricity to lighting fixtures and other devices, while receptacles provide a point of connection for plugging in electrical appliances. The cost of switches and receptacles can vary depending on the type, quality, and features. For example, dimmer switches, smart switches, and tamper-resistant receptacles will generally cost more than standard switches and receptacles. Thirdly, the estimate includes 32 lighting fixtures. Lighting fixtures come in a wide variety of styles, sizes, and functionalities. The cost of lighting fixtures can range from a few dollars for simple bare bulb fixtures to hundreds of dollars for decorative chandeliers or recessed lighting. The type of lighting fixtures chosen will depend on the customer's preferences, the overall design of the space, and the specific lighting needs of each room. Fourthly, the estimate includes wiring for a jacuzzi and 2 air conditioning units. The wiring for these appliances requires special considerations due to their high power consumption and potential for moisture exposure. The wiring for a jacuzzi typically requires a dedicated circuit with a ground fault circuit interrupter (GFCI) protection to prevent electric shock. The wiring for air conditioning units must be sized appropriately to handle the current draw of the compressors and fans. The cost of wiring these appliances will depend on the distance from the electrical panel, the size of the wire needed, and the complexity of the installation. Fifthly, the estimate includes a 200 amp service panel and a 100 amp sub-panel. The service panel is the main point of connection between the utility company's electrical supply and the building's electrical system. The sub-panel is a smaller panel that is fed from the service panel and provides power to specific circuits or areas of the building. The size of the service panel and sub-panel will depend on the overall electrical load of the building. The cost of the service panel and sub-panel will depend on the amperage rating, the number of circuit breakers, and the quality of the component. The labor cost is broken down into 3 categories: rough-in and installation, trimming out, and troubleshooting and startup. Rough-in and installation involves running the wiring, installing the electrical boxes, and mounting the panels. Trimming out involves installing the switches, receptacles, and lighting fixtures. Troubleshooting and startup involves testing the circuits, verifying the operation of the devices, and addressing any problems that may arise. The labor cost will depend on the complexity of the job, the skill of the electrician, and the prevailing labor rates in the area. Additional considerations include travel time and potential additional sales. Travel time is the time spent traveling to and from the job site. The cost of travel time can be significant, especially for jobs that are located far from the electrician's base. Additional sales refer to any additional work or materials that the customer may request beyond the scope of the original estimate. This could include things like installing a central vacuum system, adding additional outlets, or upgrading the lighting fixtures. The total estimated cost is the sum of the material cost, the labor cost, and the additional considerations. This is just a ballpark estimate, and the actual cost may vary depending on the factors discussed. Let's examine the National Electrical Code, or NEC, considerations for this project. Firstly, conductor sizing. The NEC specifies the minimum size of conductors required for various circuits based on their ampacity, which is the current carrying capacity of the wire. For example, Section 310.15 of the NEC provides tables that list the ampacity of different types of conductors based on their size, insulation type, and ambient temperature. It's crucial to select conductors that are large enough to handle the expected load of the circuit to prevent overheating and potential fire hazards. Secondly, overcurrent protection. The NEC requires that all circuits be protected by overcurrent devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses, to prevent damage from excessive current flow. The size of the overcurrent device must be matched to the ampacity of the conductors it protects. For example, A 15 amp circuit is typically protected by a 15 amp circuit breaker, while a 20 amp circuit is protected by a 20 amp circuit breaker. Thirdly, grounding and bonding. The NEC requires that all electrical systems be properly grounded and bonded to provide a path for fault current to return to the source, which helps to prevent electric shock. Grounding involves connecting the neutral conductor of the electrical system to the earth, while bonding involves connecting all metal parts of the electrical system together to create a continuous electrical path. Fourthly, GFCI protection. The NEC requires GFCI protection in certain locations where there is a high risk of electric shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. GFCIs are devices that monitor the current flowing through a circuit and quickly interrupt the power if they detect a ground fault, which can help to prevent electric shock. The estimate mentions the use of GFCIs for receptacles in bathrooms and outdoor areas, which is in compliance with the NEC. Fifthly, smoke detectors. The NEC requires smoke detectors in all dwelling units to provide early warning of a fire. Smoke detectors must be installed in each sleeping room, outside each sleeping area, and on each level of the dwelling unit. The estimate mentions the installation of smoke heads at 11 locations, which suggests that the smoke detector requirements are being met. Sixthly, box fill. The NEC specifies the maximum number of conductors, devices, and fittings that can be installed in an electrical box. This is to prevent overcrowding of the box, which can lead to overheating and potential fire hazards. The electrician must ensure that the electrical boxes are sized appropriately to accommodate the number of conductors and devices being installed. Seventhly, cable support. The NEC requires that an M cable be supported at intervals of not more than 4.5 feet and within 12 inches of each electrical box. This is to prevent the cable from sagging or becoming damaged, which could lead to electrical problems. The electrician must use cable staples or other approved methods to support the NM cable properly. Eighthly, working space. The NEC requires that adequate working space be provided around electrical equipment such as service panels and sub-panels to allow for safe access and maintenance. The working space must be clear of obstructions and must have sufficient headroom and width. The electrician must ensure that the service panel and sub-panel are installed in a location that meets the working space requirements of the NEC. It's important to consult the latest edition of the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements and interpretations. A licensed electrician should be familiar with these codes and ensure that the electrical installation complies with all applicable regulations. The information also mentions some existing conditions that might impact the accuracy of the estimate. Firstly, the addition of 6 switches to the existing first floor and basement areas. This work will require accessing and potentially modifying existing electrical circuits, which can be more challenging than installing new circuits. The electrician will need to carefully trace the existing wiring, identify the correct circuits, and make sure not to disrupt any other electrical systems. Secondly, the fact that the first floor and basement areas will be inhabited during the work. This means that the electrician will need to take extra precautions to minimize disruption to the occupants and ensure their safety. This might involve scheduling work during certain hours, using dust control measures, and keeping the work area clean and organized. Thirdly, the fact that the electrician has not yet physically seen a location. This makes it more difficult to assess the complexity of the job and identify any potential problems or challenges. It's recommended that the electrician visit the location as soon as possible to get a better understanding of the existing conditions and provide a more accurate estimate. Overall, the electrical estimate for the second floor addition appears to be well reasoned and comprehensive. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is just a ballpark estimate and the actual cost may vary depending on a variety of factors. It's recommended that the customer obtain multiple estimates from different electricians and carefully review the scope of work and the terms and conditions of each estimate before making a decision. Also, it's critical to verify the electrician's license and insurance credentials to ensure that they are qualified and insured to perform the work. Before any work begins, a detailed contract should be signed outlining the scope of work, the price, the payment schedule, and the warranty terms. This will help to protect both the customer and the electrician and ensure that the project is completed to everyone's satisfaction. Let's elaborate on the additional sales opportunities beyond the central vacuum system mentioned earlier. Considering the scope of work involving a second floor addition, there are several other electrical upgrades and additions that could be offered to the homeowner. Firstly, smart home integration. With the increasing popularity of smart home technology, homeowners may be interested in integrating smart lighting, smart thermostats, and smart security systems into their homes. This could involve installing smart switches, smart dimmers, smart outlets, and smart hubs that can be controlled remotely via a smartphone or voice assistant. Secondly, home theater wiring. Even though the homeowner specified that the TV room is not intended to be a media room or mini cinema, they may still be interested in having proper wiring for a home theater setup. This could include installing HDMI cables, speaker wires, and power outlets in the walls to create a clean and organized home theater experience. Thirdly, upgraded lighting fixtures. While the estimate includes a basic allowance for lighting fixtures, the homeowner may be interested in upgrading to more stylish or energy-efficient fixtures. This could include LED recessed lighting, decorative chandeliers, or landscape lighting. Fourthly, surge protection. Protecting electronic devices from power surges is essential, especially with the increasing number of sensitive electronics in homes. Offering surge protection for the entire home or for specific circuits can provide peace of mind and prevent costly damage from power surges. Fifthly, electric vehicle charging station. With the growing popularity of electric vehicles, homeowners may be interested in installing an electric vehicle charging station in their garage or driveway. This would require a dedicated circuit with a high amperage rating and a special charging outlet. Sixthly, backup generator. In areas that are prone to power outages, a backup generator can provide peace of mind and ensure that essential appliances and systems continue to function during an outage. Installing a backup generator requires a transfer switch and proper wiring to connect the generator to the home's electrical system. Seventhly, under-cabinet lighting. Adding under-cabinet lighting in the kitchen or bathroom can provide additional task lighting and create a more aesthetically pleasing space. This could involve installing LED strip lights or small recessed lights under the cabinets. Eighthly, USB outlets. With the increasing number of devices that are charged via USB, homeowners may find it convenient to have USB outlets installed in various locations throughout the home. This eliminates the need for bulky adapters and provides a convenient way to charge smartphones, tablets, and other devices. These are just a few examples of the additional sales opportunities that may be available during a second floor addition project. By proactively offering these upgrades and additions, the electrician can increase their revenue and provide valuable services to the homeowner. Also, consider offering a home energy audit to identify areas where the homeowner can save energy and reduce their utility bills. This could involve assessing the insulation levels, identifying air leaks, and recommending energy-efficient appliances and lighting. Remember to present these additional options in a clear and concise manner, highlighting the benefits and features of each option. Provide the homeowner with accurate pricing and allow them to make informed decisions based on their needs and budget.